Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones just gave a perfect example of how not to hold a press conference. Kyle Krabs with A to Z Sports, and Jerry Jones is all about one thing, them Cowboys. And he loves when the rest of the world is also talking about them Cowboys. And he gave the world plenty to talk about with his football team, with the Cowboys holding a live press conference with a State of the Cowboys Union, in which he was asked about a myriad of things that included the negotiations with Micah Parsons. Parsons, of course, was eligible for a contract extension all offseason long and has yet to sign his, while watching several other pass rushers reset the pass rusher and highest paid non-quarterback market. We saw Myles Garrett and now TJ Watt both claim that title this offseason. And Jerry talked about how he didn't talk to agents, and that was Steven's job. And so he hasn't talked with Micah Parsons, his agent, throughout this process. And he managed to throw shade in the process to Trevon Diggs and Terrence Steele because the Cowboys were proactive and signed them early. And both players potentially, or at least indicated by Jerry, didn't live up to the money that they were given. And Jerry talked about how contracts are 4 or 5 years long, and teams, if you act on year 3 or year 4 and you act before you need to, you end up having players that don't pan out. He also managed to throw shade at Dak Prescott, talking about, well, we as the Cowboys paid somebody to be the highest paid player at their position, and he missed the last 2/3 of the year last year. So in one fell swoop, Jerry sticks his foot in his mouth talking about Dak Prescott, Trevon Diggs, Micah Parsons. And on one hand, you kind of have to respect it because the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, they have that you-know-what money where if they want to play hardball and play with their principles, be so convicted in what they believe is right, regardless of whether or not it is good business in the grand scheme of things, if they know the almighty dollar will make these problems go away when the chips are down, and they wait things out and then are willing to pay the price that's needed at that given time to sign the player, like they did with CeeDee Lamb, like they did with Dak Prescott, like they presumably will do with Micah Parsons, then great. More power to you. But at the same time, the NFL is such a highly competitive league. The margins in which you are operating with in everything should be tallied. And if being right within your own rule book of how to run a team is more important to you than finding those competitive margins throughout the course of every decision and opportunity that you have to make. Because if you take 4 or 5 big money transactions, and if you're more proactive with them and you save yourselves a handful of millions of dollars here and there throughout the course of 2 years, you're talking about the budget to potentially add 1 or 2 more meaningful players to your football team on any given year. If being right is more important than that, if being talked about is more important than that, then that probably explains why Dallas has had the football team that they have since after the first few years Jerry Jones took over the organization. Nothing Jerry Jones says with a microphone in front of his face can really surprise you anymore when you remember that the objective for Jerry is for the Cowboys to be the center point of the conversation. He gave everybody a whole lot to talk about, and he's willing to pay the money when it comes down to it to get those superstar contracts done. That's fine, but don't expect to give yourself the competitive edge that you need to win the games you haven't in recent years if being right and being talked about is more important than making good business decisions in real time.